And ladies and gentlemen, here we are from Timcast.com. Elon Musk successfully buys Twitter. Twitter's board reached a deal in the billion-dollar bid to sell Tesla CEO's to sell to Tesla's CEO and take the company private. Do you know what happens on Thursday, guys?
You tell me. Freedom Tunes uploads a new cartoon.
Twitter's earnings report.
Oh, well, that too.
And what do you think that earnings report would show? Something good or something bad?
Bad.
Something bad. Because Twitter's been struggling for some time. You look at any news story over the past several months, and they say Twitter is lagging, not reaching its goals, which means I'm willing to bet Elon Musk played some 4D chess. He knew the earnings report was coming up, and he knew he had to act now. He offered $54.20 per share. If on Thursday news comes out that their earnings were not good, the stock would likely fall. The board knows this. They know what their earnings are. If they rejected a $54.20 offer, knowing that their stock would be worth half that by Thursday, they would be liable for damages for not adhering to their fiduciary duty to the shareholders. And that could be, what, $20 billion? If the earnings report came out and the stock dropped to 40 or 30 bucks, the board's like, nah, I don't want to be responsible for that money. I don't want to be sued for that. Just give him the deal. Done. We'll see what the investors say. We'll see what this means. But I think Elon Musk, he cornered them masterfully.
Their main source of their earnings, as far as I can tell, is ad revenue. It's a very risky proposition for a company to roll that die, because if the advertisers get disenfranchised or disgruntled, they'll pull their money, which means that Twitter's basically an advertising firm.
No, I call shenanigans. Shenanigans. Twitter banned ads that deny their opinions on climate change. So if Twitter is holding up their duty to their shareholders, they wouldn't say no to advertisements on political grounds. Twitter outright said, we don't want your money if you disagree on climate science.
Interesting. Do you think they would try to make the argument that taking money from those groups would limit their ability to make a profit in the future because it could damage their reputation?
I don't think that's going to work in court.
I don't think it's just that. I think that they killed virality. They made the site boring because the board of directors represents other companies, which feels like Twitter is worth more to them dead than alive. And so what you've got is a Twitter that's dead under their reign. Elon's like, this company is worth a lot to me alive. It's worth a lot to me if I can bring back the excitement of viral content that comes from Twitter when it was a free marketplace of ideas. And my only regret about all of this is that I don't get to take that ride with Elon Musk anymore, because shareholders were all going to get bought out and he's taking it private.
Yes, full disclosure, I have 22 shares through my brokerage app. When Elon Musk announced he bought it, I was like, all right, I opened up my account. I had $1,000 and I clicked buy. And I think I'll end up making like $100.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Thanks, Elon. I will buy a delicious umami burger.
So what you're saying is that this show is funded by Elon Musk. This is propaganda.
Completely.
You've just acknowledged it. We've lost all credibility.
It costs $100 per 10 years, per decade, to run this. That's all it is. And, that $100 funds everything. No, I think Twitter is not upholding its fiduciary duty. They banned political ads. Why? They banned anti-climate change ads. Why? I get it. You might disagree with it. But why would a for-profit company say, we don't want money from legitimate advertisers?
Yeah, because they're playing politics. They were using their ads as a political statement, probably.
This one just happened too, and I was kind of like, do I need to sue over this? Because I got to tell you, man, that one, like when they announced that they were banning political ads, I'm like, okay, there's a potential argument here. They could say, in order to maintain the health of the platform, and I don't mean their kind of health, I mean like people using the platform, we don't want to be dominated by just big spatterings of political ads. The money would actually cause more damage, the ads would. The climate change thing makes no sense. Conservatives would love it.
Yeah.
And the left would hate it.
No, I hear you on that. I'm just curious if it's an argument that they would make. If they would say something like, if people see advertisements from these groups, we're going to lose our credibility as a website.
Right. And I get that, but a judge is going to be like, except 80 plus million people in this country agree with those ads. Or people are swayed by those. It's not an argument. Like, you could imagine them arguing, oh man, millennials don't like drinking soda. You know this? This is actually true. Millennials don't drink soda. So those Coca-Cola ads are really bad for our credibility. I mean, sure, But I'm not going to blame, downtown Chicago for the ad that gets put up on the billboard off the highway. That's ridiculous.
I feel like this, there's still it's a 12-year-old business model. They're still running off of advertising, which is like very 2010. They have an opportunity to spin up a utility token to streamline effectivity on the website, where you could spend one Twitter token to get 1,000 views on Twitter, like Minds does. That's another revenue model. You could have direct-to-subscriber payments, which like your subscribers could pay you directly as a user of Twitter. Twitter could take like 1%, and then that could be a new revenue model for the site.
Dogecoin tips.
Oh my gosh, yeah, now that Musk is involved. Well, I'll ask you guys, would you be willing to pay for Twitter?
I do.
I'm
No.
curious about this. You
I'm
do,
not.
yeah, so you wouldn't. What about you?
I'm not, but who knows? I think Elon Musk is going to be very imaginative about offering premium features that I would actually want. I think a big issue for conservatives or just people who are not, speaking the company line on Twitter is like, why would I bother spending any money when it's obvious that this site does what they can to throttle what I say on here? And I think it's a common perception of Twitter. And, I think if nothing else, Elon Musk is going to at least make it transparent and have some consistent policies and say, you're getting throttled because of this algorithm, or you got banned because of this policy. And be like, okay, that's fair. And maybe even provide ways to remedy that so people can get reinstated. But, it's like we've seen so many people who acted in good faith and had good arguments and were like really good viral accounts that got banned because some passive aggressive nitwit behind the scenes just decided, I don't like this guy, I'm banning them.
Alex Jones, that's obvious. Project Veritas and James O'Keefe, very obvious. Carl Benjamin, a.k.a. Sargon of Akkad. Also obvious.
I miss him every day on Twitter.
And then you've got of course, Milo Yiannopoulos, Laura Loomer. Who else?
The president of the United States.
The
sitting president of the United States.
I mean, the Trump one is a special class
I get it,
of
but
itself. Like I was just trying to name people like who are obviously Trump.
Libs of not Libs, Babylon B. I think.
Babylon B also
B's
got banned.
That
they got suspended.
supposedly is the reason he decided to buy Twitter. I don't agree, but that was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Be the change you want to see in the
Carpe
world.
Donktum. Carpe Donktum was, for those that aren't familiar, a meme smith who just made memes and was banned for literally no reason. None.
And, then you have all the people that were posting like interesting vaccine facts, and that just went against the company line. They did their research and everything. And it was like, you're banned because we believe the vaccine is safe for most people. Even the disclaimer was like, safe for most people. What does that mean? Unsafe for a lot of people. That's a really good way to lawyer the answer.
You can't say it wasn't even about that. I mean, anything that could come from a doctor, if the doctor disagreed with some doctor Twitter chooses, like we can't live this way. We can't live in a world where big tech is like, here's the approved doctors and their opinions.
Right.
Now, I can understand the idea of consensus in that there are a lot of people and the majority of research looks in this direction, but it's just an insane way to live where we say we will actually ban dissenting opinion. That's the opposite of science. So my point ultimately here, when it comes to Trump, when it comes to Alex Jones, when it comes to Milo Yiannopoulos, when it comes to Laura Loomer, these people did nothing illegal. They were banned because they did things that Twitter did not like. If Elon is to restore free speech, all of these people get reinstated.
Well, this is a long conversation. I don't think that having one authoritarian give the company to another authoritarian to make the decision necessarily means free speech. Because if we're relying on Elon's good faith to unban people, and then he still retains the right to ban anybody at any time, if he sells the company or something happens to him, someone else takes over, it's just exactly where it was. So it might look like free speech, but really, you need to get rid of that code. You need that code to be out there.
He said he wants to open source the algorithm.
Yes.
Right, and that's the big issue to me. I don't think the unbanning is even going to be number one. It's going to be make the code transparent, hunt down all these bot farms, because I think that's the big thing. You post anything. I was talking about the torture of Joe Biggs in federal prison, and you get people saying he deserves to be tortured because he's an insurrectionist. I'm like, who are you? Oh, bot A27Z5, like, get off of my timeline. What are you doing here? I developed a whole algorithm for it. ronfor37.org/NAAH. NAAH. It's like, how can you tell if something is a bot? New, automated, anonymous, and hostile. That's the algorithm. and they all fit the mold, and they're just Twitter is full of them. And people, that's what's making Twitter boring. I'm not here to argue with bots. I want to argue with real people. I want to discuss with real people.
That's what Elon wants to do. He wants to make it so that, and I think this was his proposal, $5 a month for Twitter Blue, and you get verified. I agree with it.
Absolutely.
I have mixed feelings because that just feels like a pay-to-play model. That if the
$5.
Yeah, if the U.S. government wants to find 1,000 people that are going to toe the line and give them all $5 a month to do it, those people aren't more valid than me who doesn't feel like paying the money.
He says everybody human is going to have the chance to get verified.
But it's the humans that are getting paid by like a nefarious actor to be there that I wonder, like, how is that going to make them seem more valued because they spent $5?
The bots aren't a human. You can have one human manning like 100 different bot accounts, and that's what's happening. As my joke is like, there's either a DNC or Pentagon office somewhere where somebody's running all of these.
But then you're talking about having them verify their actual personality with like a social security number or an address, which is extremely dangerous to centralize that data, or an ID. Yeah, if you centralize that data on some database, people from all around the world can seize it and sell it and find out where you live and what your credit card information is.
But that argument, you're arguing that, I mean, every single website does that.
I've been looking into what's called decentralized identity. There's ways for you to have an identity online that isn't necessarily part of a
but let's
database.
keep the context to Twitter, because what you're saying is just some idea of something that might happen, but Elon is doing nothing different from literally any other website.
You trade crypto, you got to verify your identity to trade crypto. I worry about some of those websites, frankly.
That's because there's a financial incentive. Like with Mines too, you can spend money with like Mines Plus so that you're able to send the Mines tokens off the network onto your own personal wallet. So there's a financial value to spending money per month. Right. But if it's just to show everyone that you're real, it's
I don't think you have to go.
I don't understand what your argument against Elon Musk is, though. It sounds like you're saying the internet itself has a problem. Not what Elon is doing is great.
Pay to verify is not a solution to verification. I can't. That doesn't verify me.
But let's say he goes for the humans get verified model. If you're human, you can choose verification. That's what, originally Twitter verification was to prove you weren't a robot. Mm-hmm. Because they were robot accounts, and they were like, you can verify that. And if someone makes a parody account or whatever, you're Ian Crossland, it's your image, you've verified it.
Yeah, it's to keep popular accounts from getting mimicked or fake accounts.
No. The original purpose was just to prove you were a real person, to prove you were the person behind the account. It had nothing to do with stopping mimicry or imitation or anything like that. Eventually, they said we can't scale this up, so they gave up. They said, we're not going to verify people anymore. We're closing verification requests. It's only going to be for the celebrities we choose because we don't want to deal with it. This led to a huge backlash where people were like, verification's a badge of like authenticity. Twitter, you get special features when you're verified that other people don't get.
Run for office. That'll get you verified.
Or work for a major corporation. You can make that phone call. So one of the things he wants to do is you can be verified. Good. And then I'll just be like, verified accounts only, please. I'm not gonna argue with an account with one follower that's like the 80th account some guy's running because he bought 10 phones to do it. Or a company or some what was that Democrat company that did sock puppies? We'll avoid naming them for legality reasons, but you've got political firms that will hire one guy to run 50 accounts and pretend to be 50 people to try and sway public opinion, to harass you. Get rid of all of that. That'll make the platform healthier.
Absolutely. And you can tell who the bots are because they're all coming from the same IP address. This is what I said. Like, let's look at what the IP address of some of these bots are. I mean, we don't have to make it fully transparent, but Elon and the engineers at Twitter can take a look at that. It shouldn't be that hard to notice who the bots are that way.
There's two, I guess, ethos of running social media. There's real ID, where they can like track you down to the way you poop in the day, and then there's anonymous ID, where they have no idea who you are, and they're both valuable. Like if you have a totalitarian regime and you're on Twitter, they're going to know exactly where you are and what you're saying. They'll find you and get you. But if you have anonymous accounts, you're able to have a revolution against a corrupted establishment.
You don't have to be verified.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't it possible to not be verified and remain anonymous?
Say I'm not forcing you to verify.
If I'm not verified, you're going to set yours so that you can only get responses from people that are. There's going to be people that aren't verified that don't want to play that game or spend that money, and then there's going to be nobodies that are getting the government agencies paying their $5 a month that are going to seem like valid or
That's the thing about politics. You find very quickly if you want to have an opinion, you got to step up and stand up for yourself.
If I'm out in public and I see a bunch of people wearing masks all yelling things, I will hold their opinion to less value than someone standing up with identity revealed. I understand the value of anonymity for that reason, depending on the things people are talking about. I respect people's right to it. But if I know who you are, I know what's behind you, I know what you stand for and why, I have more reason to trust you.
I'm a huge advocate of people making videos for that reason, because you cannot fake it when you make a video. They see your face, they see your mouth. Get out of the text in general. I've been talking about this since 2006. So I'm fully on board with getting behind your own words. But there are times and places where that's very dangerous. And I don't think those people should be shut out of the conversation.
Well, but also wait a couple of years on the video front, man. That stuff's getting easier and easier to fake.
Yeah. I agree, Ian, but what you're saying is it's preference. Now, if somebody wants to distribute an anonymous pamphlet or something, you can still do it. The people who were sharing the Founding Fathers' ideas were doing it as themselves, but the ideas behind it were under pen names or pseudonyms. So no one knew who was actually writing it, but people were sharing it.
They weren't posting it as like anime characters.
I mean, look, I interact with plenty of anonymous accounts, but they act in good faith. They make good arguments, and so I listen to them. And that's been the interesting thing about Twitter is there is a sort of natural prestige system where people who make interesting insights, honest statements, that are valuable, their engagement goes up, their followers go up, and you value their opinion more than some random who comes in and calls you a poopy head.
I'll ask a question. Should Titania McGrath be verified?
Oh,
if you don't know who that is, it's a fake person.
Tatiana
McGrath.
So you would need a policy on that.
Titania is the name of the fairy from what story was that from?
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream. That's an interesting concept. I mean, it would be a legitimate parody site, and you want to
It's not a site,
huh?
It's not a website, so I'd say no.
Well, no, but there could be imitators. I don't know.
Well,
it's just something to think about.
I'm curious. I mean, do fictional characters ever get check marks on Twitter to verify that it's an official account?
I guess Mickey Mouse or something. Is Mickey Mouse
interesting? Yeah, let me look into that.
Disney trademark properties. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.